Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. How are you? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I'm excited to be before you. I know it has been a minute, but the holidays have been holidaying. I just wanted to come in this afternoon, this evening, to say hello to you. I am excited. My name is Sonia Wilson Bailey. I am the founder and CEO of Whole Women in Progress, where I assist women to a greater place of wholeness by renewing your mind, rebuilding your body, restoring your soul, and rejuvenating your spirit. And how do we do that? Through the Word of God. That's the only way that I know that we can positively, effectively do that is through the Word of God. And I am excited to say that I'm excited to be in the room with you tonight. It is December the 31st. We have one more day in 2025, and this has been a year. But guess what? We have made it. We have made it. We have made it. God has truly, I don't know about you, but he has truly been good to me. And I'm excited to be in the room with you guys tonight. I'm excited to have this candid conversation with you tonight. And I'm excited to bring this young lady in the room with us tonight. She is an amazing woman of God. She is a co-pastor with her husband. She is a mom. She is an amazing leader. She has a heart for the people of God. I don't have a bio in front of me, but all I can tell you is when I saw her, I was like, I have to get this young lady on my platform because what she was ministering, I know that it would be life-changing for not only for me, but so many other people. She is an amazing woman. All I can tell you is I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. I saw the name of her business, the name of her business. It was in alignment with what I'm already doing because we talk about the total woman, the total person, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And when we're dealing with the total person, we're dealing with the whole package, the whole person, not just parts of us, but the entire person. I'm going to bring her front and center tonight. Her name is none other than Miss Mary Pinckney. I have been calling her since me and her been talking tonight. Miss Mary, Dr. Mary Pinckney. I'm going to bring her front and center, and we're going to start this candid conversation tonight. And if you would make sure that you are communicating with us in the chat, I'm going to try to keep my eye on the chat.
Hello.
Well, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Thanks for
doing
having
amazing.
me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know we have been trying to get this candid
Yes.
conversation for the longest. I have had the
Yes.
flu. We have had multiple things going on, but
hmm
thank God that we are here tonight. I
Yes.
see that we have one viewer. So
hmm
I do believe that we are live right
Okay.
now, and
Okay.
we will
hmm
trust God and we will keep moving. Hello, somebody.
Definitely. Hello. Hello. Thank you for having me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Could you tell the guests a few things about yourself?
Yes, my name is Mary Rose Pinckney, of course. I'm from King Street, South Carolina originally. My husband and I have been married for 31 years this year. We are also pastors and leaders in prophetic ministry, especially. We do a lot of training and development for those that are actually in leadership. And we have three young adults. Both of our boys are 29 right now. It's our oldest turns 30 in January. They were born the same year, 11 months and 2 days apart. And then our daughter will be 25 in January. And we have one grandbaby. Her name is Sage. So we're excited about that, the new grandparent journey. On top of that, I'm a coach. I'm a certified Christian life coach, spirit led coach through His Coach Training Academy. And I am also also owner and operator of my own private practice, Total Wellness Therapy Services LLC. In the state of South Carolina, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist associate. And one of the things I like to share about my business name, you mentioned it covers the whole self. 3 John 2 is the foundation of my business. Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So it lets us know that God's not just concerned about our spirit, but also our soul and our body.
Come on here.
Yeah,
That's it. The whole man. Come
whole
on here.
person. Yes, the whole
Yes.
person.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of those nuggets about yourself, your business, your family, and congratulations on being
Thank
a new
you.
grandmother.
Yes, I am a
Congratulations.
Mimi officially.
Yes, they said
Mhm.
that's a whole nother level of
Oh
love. I
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
gotten there yet. I got
yeah,
a 17-year-old, so
yeah.
I pray my
Hmm.
strength in the
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah. We do have some honorary grandbabies there. Oh gosh, we got a few, quite a few.
Oh my
But at the end
goodness.
of the day, that's our biological granddaughter. Yes.
All
Hmm.
right. So that's
Hmm.
a blessing.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Hmm.
Yes, Lord. So as we begin this candid conversation, we the holidays come every
Hmm.
year.
Yes.
Those emotions, those feelings come
Hmm.
every year. How do you um there's times of joy.
Hmm.
It brings on stress, it brings on sadness. What are the most emotional challenges that you see people face during that time of year?
That's a really good question. During the holidays, it can bring up loads of emotion. We're talking about grief, we're talking about sadness, we're talking about joy, even
Mhm,
excitement, too, for some. But at the same time, there's also a lot of depression, a
mhm,
lot of anxiety. That shows up too, and it depends on the family environment, the family system. That's the
mhm,
big thing. What has this person encountered growing up? What has this person encountered, through the years with their family?
mhm,
What is this person, and if there's grief, if they've lost loved ones, all this stuff can actually show up during the holidays, because
mhm,
if you're going back home to a home that you grew up in that may have been a toxic environment, an abusive environment, or maybe even a cold environment. And then for
mhm,
some, even it may be that they're showing up back, to and they enjoy the time they spent with their family. Let's not
mhm,
forget that too, because there are some that really enjoy being with family and connecting. But yet there's the other side, where
mhm.
some have actually already been distant
Uh-huh.
or away from family, and it's hard getting back into relationship or fellowship with them. So that's where
Mhm,
the emotions come in at. So we're dealing with a lot right there. Yeah.
mhm.
But grief is one of the biggest things I think that most people have. Some people end up grieving loved ones that were lost, but then some people end up grieving relationships that were lost. And
Wow.
then mourning
That's a good
people that
one.
are still alive, but they don't have access to.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And you want that relationship with that
exactly.
individual and you
Hmm.
don't have them.
Exactly.
You didn't have a relationship with your dad,
Yeah,
or you didn't have a relationship with your mom, or you
definitely.
and your cousin are estranged, and
Hmm.
okay, I'm
Hmm.
going back in town, but
Hmm.
where my parents house
Yeah,
is, it's still there. My
exactly.
sister still lives there, and
Hmm.
dinner is at my sister's house, but
Hmm.
that's where my parents lived.
Yes.
So
Yes.
do I
Yes.
want to go back home
Exactly.
for Christmas?
Hmm. Yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
challenge that many people face. And if they are in that situation,
Mhm.
there are boundaries that can be set if you want to get back involved. But then there are people that have to really face the consequences of, maybe not having those relationships anymore,
Mhm.
depending on the environment, depending on the abuse aspect. I think that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing. And we hear people talk about emotional safety a lot nowadays, and I
Mhm.
think that's a big thing, when it comes to safety. But at the same time, making sure that this is one thing I tell my clients all the time: you're in control of you. So when we look at that circle of control, what can you
Mhm.
control in that dynamic? How long you stay,
Mhm.
what you say, what you do,
Uh-huh.
who you
Uh-huh.
interact with. Stepping away if you need to, making a quick exit. Have a plan going in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your
Exactly.
plan is to go show up, hey, how you doing, glad to see you, and then eventually, let it be known up front, I'm only here for an hour, I'm only here for 30 minutes, I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
come and say hello, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving. But at the end of the day, and sometimes it may be just having that quick exit that helps. And
Correct.
sometimes it might be, maybe you just get overwhelmed, by
Uh-huh.
all the noise, overstimulated by everybody around, especially if
Mm-hmm.
kids are around too. Sometimes
Yes.
you just get overwhelmed. Maybe you just need to head out to your car for a minute. Sit in your
Mm-hmm.
car, take some deep breaths, take a moment just to breathe and then re-engage, when you're ready. Maybe it's taking that quick bathroom trip.
Uh-huh.
You know what? I just need a
Yes,
minute.
ma'am.
But I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that's important for people to know, that, it's important to have a plan,
Uh-huh.
especially if you know you're going back into an environment where there is some grief present, where there is some hard feelings or some anxiety present. Yeah. It's important to have a plan.
What would you recommend, Dr. Pinckney, if there's been some trauma there? What type of boundaries would you encourage the person to put in place if they decide to go? I find that some people
Mhm,
they just don't go.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
left home.
Yeah.
I left home for this reason,
Yeah.
and I just don't go back unless
Yeah.
it's a funeral. And sometimes I'm not gonna go
Hmm.
back if it's a funeral,
Yeah.
depending on who it is, because
Hmm.
the trauma was so severe to
Mm.
that I just don't, I don't want to face it.
Yeah, that is a real question, a real scenario for many people. One of the things I think is important to note is that in that scenario, that's where we see a lot of emotional cutoff. And that
Mm-hmm.
term simply means that people, end up uh, disengaging from family members. They no
Mm-hmm.
longer, and I think now the term is no contact. They go
Mm-hmm.
no contact, not even talking to people. They make the decision that, okay, this is too painful for me to relive. I relive it
Mm-hmm.
every time I'm in that environment or when I'm around that person. So it's too painful for me to even show up.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that happens nowadays. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for a lot of people to hear, especially those that are on the receiving end of it. It's
Yes.
hard to deal with, but it is real for the other person because, again, they're traumatized or they've been triggered every time they step into that environment. The
Mhm.
reminders come. And it's not just about the things up here, it's
Uh-huh.
also about their nervous system.
Uh-huh.
It's what they feel in their body. I've heard people literally say that, when they step back into that room, their body begins to respond
Mhm.
because the body stores trauma. And so
My
those
Lord.
triggers can come from memories. Those triggers can come from senses. Any one of our senses, a smell, a taste.
Mhm.
It could come from even just the reminders of certain room or a certain object or a person or what have you.
Mhm.
Even words that were spoken. And so, at the end of the day, unless you're prepared and you've done the work and gone through therapy to actually deal with some of those
My
triggers and
God.
know how have some good coping skills in your toolbox, it's hard to show back up in those environments. If
And you
I
said,
just be honest, for most
yes,
people
ma'am.
that I've heard, it's hard showing back up in those environments because of the constant trigger and the actually the physical pain of it within their bodies. Some people shut down totally when
And
they're
you
dealing with
said,
stuff like that.
and you said a key word, coping skills.
Hmm.
And not only, and I'm just speaking, um, let me say this. When you go through therapy and invest
Hmm.
in therapy, you will be, depending on the therapist that you have, if they're a
Hmm.
licensed professional,
Hmm.
they will teach you coping skills, because
Exactly.
Dr. Juanita talked about this
Hmm.
when she was on last month.
Okay.
Your brain even
Hmm.
smells the senses,
Exactly.
certain things that may
Hmm.
happen that triggers
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
If it was an abusive relationship,
Exactly.
sometimes
Hmm.
verbally
Yeah.
people can hurt you with things that they say to you
Hmm.
versus punching you or hitting
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
So she even talked about how the brain processes trauma.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that goes right back to what you just said.
Yes.
So it's not that I don't want to show up for Christmas. It's not
Mhm.
that I don't want to open the gifts.
Mhm.
It is
Yeah.
so much bigger than that.
Exactly. And I think
And
people don't realize just how major that is for some people. They think you're just supposed to, just because it's family, you're just supposed to show up and deal with it.
just get
But
over
yet we're not
yourself.
having the
You don't,
conversations about the things that happened in that family system.
uh-huh.
It's getting swept under the rug. Nobody wants to really
Oh
deal with
God.
stuff or face things. And then at the end of the day, we're expected to just show up and act as though nothing happened when it did.
Exactly.
So it's
And
also
we,
around the conversations that are not being had.
my Lord. Now you just done hit a home run all the way out the park because
Well,
we have
that's
to be
real for some
willing
people.
to
Hmm.
have these candid
Yeah.
conversations
Yes.
and we have
Yes.
to be willing to talk about it.
Yes.
You can't stay mad for 10
Hmm.
years
Hmm.
and never want to talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
whatever it was
Hmm. Yeah.
that, that hurt you,
Hmm.
that happened,
Hmm.
whatever,
And that
because
takes time too. Hmm. And
that
especially
takes
doing the
time.
work, because you have to be, a lot of times just it takes skill in having those conversations too, and sometimes
Mhm.
they may need to be done in the room with the therapist
Correct.
first. You may need to get the wisdom from a professional to make sure of how to approach certain situations because of
Correct.
the damage that was done. But at the end of the day, there are times where conversations definitely need to be had, and a lot of times we deal with so many family secrets too, but yet everybody's still supposed to just show up and pretend like nothing ever happens, but yet this is destroying people inwardly. And I think that's the major issue when we deal with no contact and we deal with emotional cutoff. Those are the more extreme cases. But yet there are some
Mhm.
that feel like, yeah, this person said this to me or did this to me, then yeah. And just because we're holding grudges, yeah, that may be another side of it. But there are real situations that people are dealing with, though, when it comes to actually abuse and
Mhm.
neglect, abandonment, yeah, things like that, then those are things that we definitely have to make sure that we are paying attention to and giving
Mhm.
people grace in those scenarios.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Ooh. Mm-mm-mm. It is hot already.
yeah,
It is hot.
yeah. It's real. And I think, unfortunately, that's a
Mhm.
conversation we have all too often in the therapy room
Yes, ma'am.
about relational injuries.
Yes. Relational injuries.
Yeah.
And what we think is a traditional family structure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We want the traditional family structure, but we got to deal with
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
estrangement. We got
Yeah.
to deal with the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
We got to deal with, you know, I mishandle somebody.
Mm-hmm.
We got to deal with, you know, whatever happened in the
Yeah.
family. We want the
Abuse.
traditional
Mm-hmm.
structure, the
Mm-hmm.
abuse,
Yeah.
the
Sexual, physical.
molestation,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
rape,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the, uncle did this,
Mm-hmm.
auntie did this.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you give someone who is looking to create that traditional family when those type of things has happened? You want that for your family. You
Mm-hmm.
want your son
Mm-hmm.
or your daughter to know the aunt, the
Mm-hmm.
uncle, the cousins. You want them to know their family.
Mm-hmm.
But when you got all of this stuff that has happened and
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to Lord help me say this right. Nobody wants to, I don't want to say nobody don't want to, but you know that it's been stuff that has not been addressed. How do you how do you engage your children into it? How do you,
Okay.
because this is the next generation.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if we at some point in time don't do something different,
Mhm.
what are we what are we doing for the children and the generation behind us?
Okay.
Because now we're sitting and we're now the seniors.
Mhm.
But what are the ground what are we setting up for the
Okay.
generation behind
Okay.
us?
So let me make sure I'm clear on your question. How
Hmm.
do we maintain the traditional family?
Mm-hmm.
and then also have these conversations with our children to make sure they know who their family is, and know, even though there may have been abuse or neglect or any kind of trauma there, you still want to make sure that they know who their family is, and do you also want them to be able to engage with those same people, or just to know who they are? I guess that's what I want to make sure
I want
what you're
you
asking.
want them to know who they are
Okay.
because you don't want them to uh, date or,
Okay.
or or
Okay.
or have a
Gotcha.
relationship with
Gotcha.
their
Hmm.
family
Okay.
out of the lack of not knowing that
Exactly.
this is
Okay.
their cousin
Okay. Okay.
or whoever.
Yeah.
But then you
Okay.
also want them
Hmm.
to know their relatives.
Okay. I think one important thing, I'll say this, is for individuals to begin to deal with their own stuff,
Hmm.
especially if it's in your family, in the traditional family, you've dealt with some pain, some trauma. I think it's important to deal with your own stuff so that it's not passed down to to the next generation. But I also
Correct.
think that's an important part of the conversation. As you deal with it, as you heal, then you can have those conversations with your kids about maybe what happened,
Hmm.
and then at the same time, there's a way to do it without actually, well, uh, there's a way to do it. I want to tread lightly with this because I know sometimes there are things that maybe need to be handled a certain way, and so some things may need to be done again with a professional to make sure you're approaching it the right way. But
Yes, ma'am.
at the same time, today there's so much technology too, when it comes to
Hmm.
ancestry.com, it comes to doing family trees and things of that nature, having those conversations and having things outlined so that the kids can actually still learn who their family members are. One thing I like about family therapy is that we can do geneograms. We can actually go back 2, 3, 4 generations and actually,
Hmm.
chart our family history, even down to
Uh-huh.
relationships.
Uh-huh.
Who was in relationship with who, were these people engaged, married, living together, who had children, who had out of wedlock, who had
Hmm.
abortions, who had certain diseases, things of that nature. So you can go back and trace all of that, so your
Hmm.
and we say in the church we talk about generational curses, but in the geneogram it also can show up generational patterns. So
Hmm.
now you're giving a little bit more information so that the
Yes,
children
ma'am.
know, okay, this is what happened. There was abuse in these relationships. There was a molestation. There was maybe even alcoholism, addiction, things of that nature in this family line. So now you're seeing the family tree from a different dynamic, and I think
Hmm.
that helps too when it comes to that. But again, when it comes to protecting the traditional family, in some situations it's pretty difficult. Some families deal with things better than others. Some get to a place where they're able to have those tough conversations and
Hmm.
really, heal
Yes,
together.
ma'am. Hmm.
But then there are some that are not ready to face what happened. They're not ready to
Hmm.
deal with it. They're not ready to move forward. They've never dealt with their stuff. And it's hard for them to even address it and talk about it. So, in that light, some things are outside of our control, unfortunately,
Yes, ma'am. That's
because we
correct.
can't force people to do things that they're not ready for.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
can't force
Hmm.
people to have conversations they're not ready for. We can try, but then at the end of the day, what do you want the outcome to be? I think that's something we have to look at too. But again,
Hmm.
those are ways that we can still make sure that the next generation knows
Hmm.
who's in the family line, know the tradition, the traditional family, and then they get to decide too if they want to be in relationship with them.
Correct.
Maybe you do want to
And
know
not
your.
and not make the
Mhm.
decision for
Exactly,
them.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. They get
My
to
God.
decide when they get older, because it's not,
Hmm.
we leave that up to each individual person, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You talked about this earlier, the exit strategy.
Hmm.
It is okay to leave a family gathering early if it becomes overwhelming,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you can and how do you handle the guilt that might come with that decision?
Mm, that's a really good question,
You leave it
because.
because
Mhm,
you can see it
mhm,
turning.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
They fussing about this.
Hmm.
They talking about this
Hmm.
situation and that. You
Yeah.
can see
Yeah.
the atmosphere literally shifting before your eyes.
Mhm.
and you saying, okay, I don't want to stay here any longer.
Mhm. Yeah. And so you said, how do you handle the guilt that comes with leaving? I
Hmm.
think that's huge because whenever we set boundaries, whenever we're doing something different,
Yes, ma'am.
it feels, wrong,
Hmm.
because this is one of the things we get so accustomed to. Our brain is wired to do the same thing all the time until
Hmm.
we start doing something different. And when you do something different, you're going
Yes,
against
ma'am.
the grain. And so it feels different. It feels bad
Hmm.
because you're not sticking to what you're used to, right?
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself. Where are you? What are you feeling? What's happening in your body? Can you handle still staying there? And even after that, one of the things I think is important is actually have a good support network, have a good safe sounding board where
Hmm.
you can actually bounce those feelings off of. And I think too, the other thing for those that pray, definitely, utilize prayer
Yes, ma'am.
and seek God about that guilt and that condemnation that's
Hmm.
showing up. Ask him to help you see through the right eyes and not through what because again, a lot of times the guilt comes because we are so used to actually just showing up and overextending ourselves.
Yes,
We're so
ma'am.
used to just people pleasing and doing what everybody else expects us to do and not really being authentic to what's happening with us. And I
Correct.
think that's a lot of times where that guilt comes in at. And
Hmm.
also, so a lot of times I'll tell people to journal as well. Maybe journal, about the
Hmm.
guilt, about even your relationship with that guilt, at the end of the day, and see
Wow.
what comes up, because
Hmm.
sometimes it may show up something there, for you.
Hmm.
I hope that answers that question for you.
Yes,
But a
ma'am.
lot
It
of
did.
times the guilt is because you're doing something out of your norm.
Correct. And you got to be willing to go against the grain
Hmm.
sometimes, because that one person that makes a stand and get up
Hmm.
and say, I'm going to leave and
Hmm.
not be a part of this, may
Hmm.
be
Yeah.
that sounding board to say, hey,
Hmm.
you know what we're doing right now?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's not Christ like. That's
Yeah.
not really loving on that person. Yeah,
Hmm.
they might have come in here, smelling like whatever.
Hmm.
But did we love on them, or did we
Hmm.
just really dig
Yeah.
into them?
Yeah.
And we know we hadn't seen them in 5 years because they didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they come here like that?
Yeah.
Were they searching for love? And
Hmm.
did we give them love, or did we
Hmm.
bash them?
Yeah. Or did they need to self medicate before they came in order to be in the environment?
Because they know Uncle Joe was gonna be there. Come
Yeah.
on, somebody.
That's the other side of that.
My
That
Jesus.
they have to prepare themselves in
To
an
come.
unhealthy way to show up.
Correct.
Yeah.
And see, that's the part that we don't always look at, Dr. Payton.
Yeah.
We don't look at
Yeah.
why,
You got to look at the root issues.
the why, the
Mm-hmm.
why.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah,
This time
because
is taking
that's
so
truly
good.
what happens. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, sometimes they have to prepare themselves to be in the room with everybody. Yeah, so we have to look at it because a lot of times when you look at addiction, sometimes there is a root issue. There's
yeah.
something underneath there. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And they acting out, but we looking at what they're
The
doing,
outward.
but
Hmm.
not why they're
Hmm.
doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Knowing when to seek help.
Yeah.
Knowing when to seek help. What is the red flags to indicate that holiday stress has turned
Huh.
into more serious than just clinical depression or seasonal
Mm.
affective disorder? It's
Mm.
we know that
Okay.
something else is going on with this person. They may be
Okay.
suicidal and they
Hmm.
need some help.
Okay. So key signs. One is they begin to withdraw. Isolation.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely one. I deal with this a lot sometimes with parents. Sometimes they'll say, they'll call their child lazy or whatever and say they just won't do anything but stay in that dark room or whatever. I'm like, you have to recognize sometimes that is depression too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, it's might not be laziness, maybe a lack of motivation, maybe depression because they're
Mm-hmm.
actually closed off. They're not opening the blinds, not getting up out of bed, sleeping all day sometimes, because sometimes that's a coping strategy for people. They begin to try to
Mm-hmm.
sleep away the pain sleep
Yes,
away the
ma'am.
reality or what have you. So sometimes, that could be something too. Anxiety, sometimes paranoia might show up, depending on what's happening and who you're dealing with. But yeah, the main thing is isolation, not answering calls, maybe not keeping themselves up, not doing their hair, not taking their showers, not getting dressed, washing clothes, things of that nature, the daily hygiene stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so those are definitely signs to watch for too, especially if you know it's somebody that's always keeping themselves up and you start noticing these things. Yeah, that's something to pay attention to. Pay attention to their words. What are they saying? Are
Mm-hmm.
they giving stuff away, especially valuables?
Wow. Yeah,
Those are
that's a
key
good
things as
one.
well. Yeah. Yeah, those are key things as well. Yeah.
I asked if they have any questions to put
Okay.
those in the chat.
Okay.
Um, Tina said, "Thank God for deliverance." So
Mm,
we are live at this present
okay.
moment. That
Okay.
answers our question.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Never
Mhm.
God. Thank you
Mhm.
for that comment, Tina.
Mhm.
And we thank God for your deliverance, sweetheart.
Yes. Yes.
Um, do you have any final thoughts? Anything that you have not shared that you would like to share with us? I want to be respectful of your time because I
Okay.
could talk about this all night.
Okay.
It's just
Mhm.
so rich, and you are such
Yeah.
such anointed when you
Mhm.
share this. I tell you,
Mhm.
you just
Mm.
power pack.
Thank
But there's
you.
just so
Thank you.
many things that
Mhm.
people encounter, not just on the
Mhm.
holidays.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you can walk in. I know sometimes I can walk into an elevator and just
Mhm.
feel the heaviness of
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
will immediately begin to talk to them. I'll
Yeah.
ask them, can I hug them?
Mhm.
And I guess my husband be looking at me like, girl, what in the
Mhm.
world?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can feel sometimes I
Yeah.
can walk in the elevator and
Yeah.
just feel it. So
Mhm. Yeah.
sometimes you just never know what people are dealing with,
Mhm. That's
and
right.
it's sometimes we just assume that it's just the holidays,
Mhm.
but sometimes we got to realize and be sensitive to the spirit of God.
Yeah.
People are going through stuff, you know,
Definitely.
it's more it's more during the holidays, but
Mhm.
people are dealing with stuff daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't have any questions in the
Okay.
chat, but if you
Okay.
have any final
Okay.
thoughts you would like to share
Um,
with us.
One thing for sure is if you're dealing with anything that I mentioned tonight, even some of those symptoms of depression, you find yourself withdrawing, you find yourself not being interested in things that you used to be interested in. You're always on high alert, hyper vigilant. You're feeling suicidal, even having thoughts about it. Maybe not even you don't have a plan, but you're just having thoughts about it. It's time to contact a professional. There's also help at you can actually dial 988 on your phone. So I think it's pound 988 on your phone. Contact 911 or go to the there's a suicide hotline. There's also in every area in every state there's the I think it's NAMI, if I remember correctly, the website, and they have tools, they have resources, they have group therapy, in each location as well. So there are resources available, but most of all, contact a mental health professional. Sometimes maybe even having that conversation with your doctor, your primary care physician. They can actually do referrals for you as well. But the main thing is make sure that you're paying attention to you and your health. That's important. Again, it affect our mental health affects our daily life. If I go to the Bible now, it would probably be Proverbs 4:23, where it says, guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issues of your life. And so we have to make sure that we're paying attention to how we feel. We have to make sure that we are paying attention to how we're thinking, because these things do affect our lives. And I think too long we pay more attention to other people than we do to ourselves. And I think that's so important for us to actually now start, the things that you do for other people, turn it inwardly. Now start paying attention. I'm not saying you have to abandon, other relationships and things of that nature, but make sure that you're taking time to love and care for yourself as well. when we talk about self-care, it's not always the manicure, the pedicures, the massages. It's also going to the doctor, the dentist. It's also seeing a therapist if you need to.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
also making sure that you're taking care of yourself, your regular temple, because again, we only get one life, one body. So it's essential for us to make sure that we're paying attention to ourselves as well. And
Amen.
resources, if I had to give another resource tonight, one of the things I found instrumental for me too was Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and John Townsend. That's one book that I found very instrumental when it comes to setting boundaries. If anyone wants it, it's on Amazon, but that's a key resource I normally suggest to people. And especially for those that are Christians, it is written from a biblical perspective. And that's something that you can utilize to make sure that you have something to help you set and establish those boundaries. All right.
Yes, I was turning around looking for it because I had it on
Mm-hmm.
my bookshelf behind me, but
I have it, but I
might
don't
be
know if
got it in. I
it's.
might be got it
Hmm.
in the room by my
Hmm.
bed.
Let's
But
see, because
yes,
I have
that's
one
an
behind me
amazing
too.
book.
No, I don't have it in this one. It's in my other bookshelf. But
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm. But Dr. John Townsend, Dr. Henry Cloud. Yes.
yes.
Hmm.
Yep, it is an amazing book, and it
It
will help
is.
you
Hmm.
to set those boundaries for sure
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it's important that you set the boundaries and that you implement them. It's
Hmm.
more you can't just set them; you got to
Yes.
implement them.
Yes. That's
And
right. That's right.
sometimes when you set them,
Hmm.
you might have some kickback
Kickback.
from some folk.
Exactly.
But honey, just like
Hmm.
they kick back, you have to kick back because you're okay. Here goes it right here. I got
Okay.
it on my desk.
Very
It's
good.
yeah. Can you pull that up for me, please, sir? You can you gotta regardless of what kind of kickback you might be getting, you
Hmm.
need to
That's
you
it.
need to protect your
Hmm.
peace. You need to
Hmm.
protect yourself because at the end of the day, um, no is a complete sentence.
Yes, that
And it's a
part.
protected. It's about you
Hmm.
protecting your peace,
Hmm.
and
That's right.
if it's
Hmm.
no, then it's no.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
thank you so much,
You're so welcome.
Dr. Pinckney. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
having me.
We I appreciate you. We had that, we was
Hmm.
trying to get
Hmm.
this in for
Yeah,
the end of the year,
definitely.
and the
Yes, ma'am.
Lord let
We
us
made
get it
it.
done. Thank you, Jesus.
And you've given me a new title. I guess that means
Yes,
I need
yes,
to start
ma'am.
exploring that new journey, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, we gonna be
Yes.
exploring some things together in
Yes,
Jesus' name.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
But thank you so
appreciate
much. I'm
it.
gonna
Hmm.
put you backstage. I'll be
Okay.
back there
All right. All
momentarily.
right. Thank you.
Thank you so much
God
again,
bless you all.
sweetheart.
Hmm.
Yes. And tell them how they can connect with you really
Oh,
quickly
okay.
before you go.
I do have my website. If you search for Total Wellness Therapy Services LLC, or you can find me on Psychology Today under Mary Rose Pinckney, just as it's spelled right here on the screen. You can find me on Psychology Today. Also, I'm on Facebook under just Mary Pinckney, and Total Wellness is also on Facebook as well, and on Instagram. And yeah, those are the key sites you can find me on. All right.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to ask you a question, but I'll ask you
Okay.
that backstage.
Okay.
Thank you,
Sounds
ma'am.
good.
I
Okay.
appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you all for joining us for this amazing Candid conversation. That was our last Candid conversation for 2025. I'm excited about what God is going to allow us to embark upon in 2026. For those of you that have joined us tonight, thank you so much for coming in the room. My name is Sonia Wilson Bailey. I am the founder and CEO of Whole Women in Progress, where I assist women to a greater place of wholeness by renewing your mind, rebuilding your body, the whole body. Um, Rebuilding the whole body, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And as we uh, move out of 26 and push forward into move out of 2025, push forward into 2026, continue to take care of every part of you ladies. Take care of yourself. I am an advocate for women of all walks of life. I'm an advocate for special needs mothers, especially. I am embarking upon arena when it comes to that in 2026. I have been not compliant with the Lord, but I am going to be compliant. You've seen that. I'm an advocate, but I am doing some other things in that arena as well that's going to encompass the whole women as well. I thank you guys for joining us tonight. This has been an amazing Candid conversation because we have to take care of every part of us. We can go to the gym, we can make our faces up, we can take care of every part of us. I'm talking about exercise. I'm talking about the makeup. I'm talking about, and she talked about it, the pamper sessions, the manis, the petties, all of those things. But we have to take care of ourselves internally. It's an inside job, ladies, and we can do it with the help of the Lord. I love you guys. Y'all have a phenomenal rest of this evening and happy new year. God bless you all, and I look forward to seeing you in 2026. Have a wonderful rest of this evening and be blessed. Thank you all for joining.